नमस्कार। एमएमआर का वीडियो सीरीज में मैराथन विश्वास ह्यूमन रिसोर्स डेवलपमेंट सेंटर किरूर की ओर से आप सबको आज थर्ड चैप्टर का वीडियो में वेलकम करता हूं। ऑलरेडी हमने चैप्टर वन और चैप्टर वीडियो देख चुके हैं। आज थर्ड चैप्टर का वीडियो है जिसमें हम लोग रेगुलेशन 11 से 31 ए तक का डिटेल्स जानेंगे। Regulation 11 Board of Mining Examination. 12 Certificate granted by Board. Regulation 13 Examination and Examiners. 14 Submission of application. 15 Age and General Qualification etc. of candidates. 16 Practical experience of candidates for Managers Examination. 17 Practical experience of candidates for Surveyors Examination. 18 Practical experience for candidate for mates and blaster examination. 19 Approval of experience of candidate for engine driver certificate. 20 Practical experience of candidates for engine driver certificate. 21 Exam fees. 22 Action certificate. 23 Service certificate. 24 Service certificates for surveyor. 25 Validity of old certificate. 26 Duplicate certificate. 27 Certificate to be delivered to manager. 28 Court of inquiry into fitness of persons to hold manager or surveyor certificate. 29 Suspension of certificate of foreman made engine driver blaster or gas testing. 30 Validity of foreman's made engine driver blaster and gas testing certificate. 30 Retirement age of manager and officials etc. 31 A right of workers representative to inspect the register maintained under Mines Rule 1955. Regulation 11 Board of Mining Examination. For the purpose of these regulations, there shall be constituted a Board of Mining Examination, hereafter referred as Board. The board shall consist Chief Inspector, who shall be its chairman ex officio, and 5 members possessing technical qualification in mining and having practical experience in metalliferous mines, or serving an institute imparting education in mining engineering at degree or equivalent level, or engaging in mine research, to be appointed by central government, provided that the board shall so constitute that it shall include at least 3 members processing qualification laid down in clause A, at least one member processing qualification laid down in clause B or in clause C. Every member other than chairman of the board shall hold office for a period of 3 years from the date of notification appointed him as a member of the board or until his successor is appointed and take charge whichever is later. Provided that a member may anytime resign his office, a member appointed under clause B of subregulation 2 shall cease to hold office upon his ceasing to serve in such institution as is referred to in that clause. A person appointed to fill a vacancy caused by reason of death, resignation, or by reason of cease of office under subclause 2 of a member shall hold office for the remaining period for which such member would have but for such reason continue as member. A person who hold or who has held office as member of the board shall, subject to the other provision of this regulation, be eligible for reappointment to that office. A member of board other than chairman shall receive such remuneration as the central government may fix. An inspector nominated in this behalf by chief inspector shall act as secretary to the board. Hereafter refer to this regulation as secretary. Notwithstanding anything contained in this regulation, the central government may, if satisfied that it is necessary so to do the public interest, reconstitute the board even though the terms of the office of all or any member thereof has not come to an end. Meeting of board shall be held as and when chairman considers them necessary, and unless otherwise decided by the chairman, all meetings of the board shall be held at Dhanbad. For every meeting, the board, not less than 10 calendar days prior notice intimating the time and place of proposed meeting and signed by chairman or secretary shall be given to each member who is not absent from India. Such notice shall be delivered at or posted to usual place of residence of the member, and each such notice shall be accompanied by a list of items of business to be disposed of at that meeting. Notwithstanding what is contained in clause A and B, in case of urgency and emergent meeting may be called by the chairman at any time by intimating the members only 2 days advance of the time and date of such meeting and such subject matter of discussion at such meeting. The chairman shall preside all at every meeting of the board. If the chairman is absent for any reason, members present shall elect one of them among themselves to preside over the meeting, and the members so elected shall the purpose of the meeting have all powers of the chairman. No business shall be transacted at a meeting of the board unless at least three members, including chairman, are present. All members which the board is required to consider shall be considered at its meeting, or if the chairman so decide, by circulation of paper to every member who is not absent from India. When any matter is referred to by circulation as aforesaid, any member can request that it should be considered at a meeting of the board, and the chairman may direct that it shall be so considered, but when two or more members so request, the chairman shall direct that it shall be so considered at a meeting to be held. The secretary shall place before the board a list of business to be transacted at the meeting. No business which is not included in such list shall be considered unless the chairman permit. Every matter at a meeting shall be decided by the majority of votes of members present at such meeting. Every matter referred the members by circulation under sub-regulation 13 shall be decided by the majority opinion of the members to whom the paper or circulated, unless the chairman reserves it for consideration at a regular meeting to be held later. In case of equal division of vote or opinion of the members, the chairman shall have a casting vote or opinion. The secretary shall record the minutes of each meeting in bound page book kept for the purpose, and copy of such minutes of meeting shall be circulated to all members present in India. The minutes so recorded shall be confirmed at the next meeting of board and signed by the chairman in token thereof. The chairman, in addition to other powers and duties conferred upon him under this regulation, shall present all important papers and matters to board as early as possible, issue orders for carrying out the directions of board, have power to refer in his direction and met to the central government for their orders, and have powers generally to take such action or pass such order necessary to impart the decision of board. The chairman may, during his temporary absence by reason of leave otherwise, authorize any member of the board to perform all or any duties of chairman during such absence, unless the chairman otherwise directs. All proceedings of board shall be conducted in camera and be regarded as confidential. Certificate granted by the board. Certificate under this regulation shall be granted by board. The certificate granted by board shall be valid throughout the territories to which this regulation extend and shall be of following kinds. Manager's first class certificate of competency to manager of a metalliferous mines in this regulation refer as first class manager certificate. Manager's second class certificate of competency to manage metalliferous mines in this regulation refer as second class manager certificate. Surveyor's certificate of competency to surveyor working in mine. This regulation refer as surveyor certificate. Mine foreman certificate of competency to carry out inspection and duty required under this regulation. These regulations refer as foreman certificates. Mining mate certificate of competency to carry out inspections and duty as required under this regulation. This regulation refer as mate certificate. Winding engineman first class certificate in this regulation refer as first class engine driver certificate to drive a winding engine of any type or class or of such type or class of such type class may be specified in the certificate. Winding engine pans 2 class certificate in this regulation refer as second class engine driver certificate to drive a winding engine of any type or class or such type or class of other such type of class and type as may be specified in the certificate. Blaster certificate of competency to fire shots in metalliferous mines. In this regulation refer as blaster certificate, and certificate of competency to test the presence of inflammable gas. In this regulation refer as gas testing certificate. Provided that any of the certificate aforesaid there other there an driver certificate and gas testing certificate may be restricted to mines having open cast working only, and this fact shall be endorsed on the certificate. Examinations and examiner. Certificate of competency shall be granted to successful candidate after such examination in such form as board may prescribe, provided that the board may, subject to condition to be specified in bylaws framed for this purpose, extend any persons or appearing the examination or part thereof for grant the certificate refer to regulation 12. Provided for that board may, for a period of 5 years from the date of coming into force of Middle Pass Mines Amendment Regulation 1977, and subject to sub-conditions as may be prescribed in the by-law made by the board for the purpose, extend any person or possessing such experience or such qualification or both in mining as may be approved by board this behalf from appearing examination or part thereof for grant the certificate referred to Regulation 12. Examinations shall be held at such time and such centers as may be fixed by the board and shall be conducted at examiners appointed by the board. No examiner so appointed shall be subject to order of board in respect of matter relating to conduct of examination and shall receive such recommendation as the board with sanction of central government may fix. The board shall make by laws in the conduct of examination and as the granting of certificate of competency and of fitness as required under this regulation and shall so far as may be prescribable provide that the standard knowledge required for the grant of certificate of any particular class and standard of legal fitness shall be uniform throughout the territories to which the regulation enters. Every bylaw made by the board under the regulation shall be published in the official gazette, and no such bylaws shall effect until 3 months after the date of on which it was so published. Submission of application. Application for examination conducted by board shall be made in form supplied for the purpose. Notice regarding the date and place of examination for managers and surveyors certificate shall be published under the order of board in such periodicals as board may direct not less than 60 days prior to the date fixed by the board for receiving application. The close date for receipt of application shall not be less than 60 days prior to the date of fixed for examination. Age and general qualification of candidates. No person shall be admitted as a candidate at any examination held by the board unless he is 20 years old. No person shall be admitted as a candidate of at my examination for manager, surveyor, foreman, mates, or blaster certificate unless he hold a valid first aid certificate and or the standard of St. John Ambulance Association. Provided if any candidate satisfied that he had sufficient opportunity to obtain such first aid certificate, the board may admit him to examination on such condition if any as it thinks fit to impose. Every application for any examination as aforesaid shall be accompanied by a certificate of age granted by a gazetted officer or by headmaster of a school or higher secondary or equivalent standard, provided that in case of a person holding a matriculation or equivalent certificate, such certificate shall be submitted as evidence of age. A medical certificate obtained not more than 2 years prior to the date of application from the qualification medical practitioner and not below rank of civil assistant surgeon, or from a certifying surgeon certifying the candidates to be free from deafness, defective vision, and any other infirmity, mental or physical, likely to interface with the effect of his work, and a certificate from on persons to God, person of good repute as general good conduct and sobriety of the candidate. After 31st December 1961, no person shall admitted as candidate at any examination for manager or surveyor certificate unless he had passed the matriculation examination of recognized university or its equivalent, and for mates, engine driver, and blaster certificate unless he satisfied the board that he is literate, provided that nothing in this subregulation shall be deemed to debar a person not satisfying the provision thereof from beginning being admitted at such examination after the said date if he had been he had obtained mate certificate not so restricted and graduation certificate not person shall be admitted as candidate as examination for manager of woman certificate restricted to means having open cast walking only unless he had obtained mate certificate. Age and general qualification of candidate, provided that this clause shall not apply a candidate for manager certificate if already holds foreman certificate granted under regulation 22 or 23, and a candidate of manager first class certificate if he has already hold manager second class certificate granted under regulation 22 or 23, notwithstanding anything contained in clause A if candidates satisfy that the board that he did not have sufficient opportunity to obtain manager's mates or gastric certificate, the board may admit him to the examination of managers or foreman certificate on such condition, if any, as it may think fit to impose. Practical experience of candidate managers examination. No person shall be admitted as a candidate at any examination for first or second class manager certificate other than an excellence or service certificate to who is provision of regulation 22-23 respectively apply, unless he has satisfied the board that he has had practical experience in metalliferous mines for a period not less than 5 and 3 years respectively, provided that in case of candidate who has received a diploma or degree in mining, engineering or equivalent qualification approved in that behalf be central government, such period shall be reduced to 3 and 2 years respectively. In case of candidate who have received a certificate, diploma or degree applied geology, civil, mechanical or electrical engineering or other equivalent qualification approved in that behalf by central government, such periods shall be reduced to 4 and 2.5 years respectively. The nature of practical experience required for candidates manager's certificate shall be experience above approved by the board and gained in one or other of the following candidates of metalliferous mines having an average employment not less than 60 in working below ground or not less than 160 in the mine or such other matter as the board may approve in this behalf. A workman or a mining mate apprentice having direct practical experience of getting ore and of stone oak, timbering and repairing. As an official in respect of mining operation, provided that out of the period of experience required under sub-regulation on from candidates for examination of first class manager certificate not restricted to mine having open working only, A period of not less than 18 months should be given spent in walking below ground of mine. Second class manager certificate not restricted to mine having open cast walking only. A period not less than 12 months should have been spent in walking below ground of mine. Further, provided that the board may approve part of the period of experience gained while engaged in inspection, rescue, research, planning, or other work connected with mining operation. So, however, that the aforesaid period shall not include the period of experience of coal mines approved under Regulation 19 exceed 1 year in case of second class and 1.5 years in a first class manager's certificate. Practical experience of candidate for surveyor's examination. No person shall be admitted as candidate at any examination for surveyor's certificate unless he has satisfied the board that he had not less than 2 hours practical experience of surveying and a approved by the board, and in case of candidates for a certificate which is not restricted to mines having open cast walking only, said experience shall include practical experience for a period not less than 6 months of suffering the workers below ground of the mine have an average employment law less than 60 in odds below walking below ground or such other mine as the board may approve on this behalf, provided that the aforesaid period of 2 years shall reduce to 6 months in case of candidates who have received the certificate, diploma and degree in mining or mining engineering, mine surveying or civil engineering or other equivalent qualification approved in this behalf by central government. Such subject, however, to the condition that cause of candidate for a certificate which is not restricted to mine having open cast only, the said 6 month experience shall be should be gained in workings below ground of a mine aforesaid. Practical experience of candidate for mate blaster examination. No person shall be admitted as candidate at any examination for mates certificate unless the board is satisfied that he had practical experience and training in METALLIFEROUS mines for a period not less than 3 years, provided that the said period shall be reduced to 2 years in case of candidates who have received the diploma or certificate in mining subject to other equivalent qualification after course has already 2 years duration approved in that behalf by central government and who received has a degree in applied geology or civil mechanical or electrical engineering or other equivalent ed qualification approved in the behalf by central government and to 1 year cause of candidate who have received a diploma or degree in mining engineering, not equivalent qualification approved in that behalf by central government. No person shall admitted as candidate of any examination of blaster unless the board satisfy that he had practical experience and training in metalliferous mines for a period not less than 2 years, of which not less than 6 months shall be experience and training in connection with shot firing, provided that the said period shall be reduced to 1 year, include not less than 4 months in shot firing. In case of candidate who has received a diploma or certificate in mining, subject or other equivalent qualification after course of at least 2 years duration approved in the behalf by central government who has received a degree of applied geology in civil mechanical or electrical engineer or other equivalent qualification applied for that behalf by central government to 6 months including not less than 2 months in short firing in case of candidate who received a diploma or degree in mining or mining engineering or other equivalent qualification approved in that behalf by central government. The nature of practical experience required to candidates for aforesaid examination shall be experience of such type as may be approved by the board. Approval of experience of candidate for engine driver certificate. In case of a candidate, part of whose experience shall be obtained in coal mine for the practical experience in a metalliferous mine as prescribed in Regulation 16, 17, 18 may be reduced by the board to such an intent and subject to such condition at it may be specified. Practical experience candidates for engine driver certificate. No person shall be admitted as candidate at any examination for engine driver certificate unless he has satisfied the board that he has had practical experience for driving or winding engine or as an assistant to qualify winding engine driver for a period at least 1 year, provided that no person shall be permitted to appear at any examination for a first class engine driver certificate unless he hold second class engine driver certificate. Examination fees. Fees on the following scale shall be paid in respect of every application for admission to an examination. In case of examination of first class manager certificate, 100 rupees. In case of second class manager certificate, 75 rupees. Surveyor certificate, 50 rupees. Foreman certificate, 50 rupees. Mate certificate, 30 rupees. Engine driver class 1, 30 rupees. Engine driver class 2, 25. Blaster, 25. Gas testing, 25. The chief inspector may permit the fund of any fee paid under sub-regulation on where the candidate has died before the examination or whether the fees has been erroneously paid, except as aforesaid examination fee paid shall not once be refundable. Excellence certificate. The board may grant any persons holding manager, surveyor, overman, of woman, shredder, or mate or engine driver or blaster certificate granted under any act for the regulation of mines for the time being in force in any other country a certificate of similar class under this regulation if possess such practical experience and pass such examination as the board may stipulate it, provided that a candidate for grant manager's excellence certificate shall also satisfy the board that he shall undergo for a period not less than 6 months a course of practical training in India in the manner and in the mine approved by Chief Inspector for the purpose. Before the commencement of his practical training in India, as aforesaid, every such candidate shall submit to Chief Inspector an application in form supplied for the purpose. The board may grant to any persons holding a certificate referred to in sub-regulation on under the coal mines regulation made under the Act. A similar certificate under this regulation if he possesses such practical experience and pass such examination as the board may stipulate, provided that the board may, subject to such condition as it may specify, exempt any persons for appearing at examination or part thereof or grant of excellence certificate. An excellence certificate other than the winding engine driver or blaster certificate grant under sub-regulation 1 or 2 may be restricted to mine having open cast walking only. In such case, the certificate shall contain an endorsement to that effect. Every application for the grant of excellence certificate under this regulation shall be accompanied by a medical certificate obtained not more than 2 years prior to the date of his application from a qualified medical practitioner not below the rank of civil assistant surgeon or from a certified surgeon certifying the candidate to be free from deafness, defective vision, or any other infirmity, mental or physical, likely to interfere with the efficient discharge of his duty, and a certificate from such person of good repute as to the general good conduct and sobriety of the candidate. Fees on the scale laid down in Regulation 21 shall be paid irrespective of every examination under the regulation. Service certificate. The board may grant until such date as may be notified by the central government for the purpose of official gazette without written examination. Central a manager certificate to any person who has attained age of 35 years or who satisfied the board that he has worked for a period not less than 8 years in case of an applicant for first class manager certificate and 6 years in case of an applicant for the second class manager certificate as an assistant manager, underground manager, or manager, or any capacity accepted by the board as equivalent or superior thereto in planning, control, and direction of mining operation of metalliferous mine of a type approved by board if he has passed a Viva exam in such subject as the board may specify. Who has attained the age of 30 years and has received a diploma or certificate in mining or mining engineering or an honor a master's degree in geology or other equivalent qualification approved by in the behalf by central government if he is satisfied that the board that he has had such practical experience as compiled with the provision of sub-regulation 2 of regulation 16 for a period not less than 8 years in case of first class manager certificate and 6 years in case of second class manager certificate if he has a examination in such subject as board may stipulate, provided that practical experience for a period not less than 3 of 18 years in case of first class manager certificate and for a period not less than 2 of 6 years in case of second class certificate shall be the capacity of assistant manager or under manager or manager in a capacity accepted by board are equivalent of superior thereto in the control and direction of mining operation in mines a size approved by board. Who has satisfied the is 25 years and has received diploma certificate or degree in mining engineering, applied geology, civil, mechanical or electrical engineering or other equivalent qualification approved in this behalf by central government if he is satisfied the board that he ha- has had practical experience of the nature approved by board for periods of not less than 5 years for the first class manager certificate and 3 years for second class manager certificate and if he passes a viva exam in such subject as the board may stipulate it, provided that not less than 2 years and 1 year respectively of the said practical experience shall have been obtained in metalliferous mine in India. For the purpose of episode, only such experience shall be accompanied as purpose of such experience shall be approved as compiled with the provision of 6 regulation 16.2 or its experience the capacity of manager or superior capacity the control and direction of mining operation. A foreman makes a blaster certificate to any person who has attained age of 25 years and who has satisfied the board that he has worked in the capacity of mine foreman, mine mate or blaster as case may be in metalliferous mine in India for a period not less than 3 years in case of certificate restricted to mines having open cast working only not less than 4 years in case of certificate not so restricted and passed viva examination as the board may stipulate. Who has attended age of 23 years and has received a diploma or certificate in mining or mining engineering or other equivalent qualification approved under subclause on A of clause A or degree in geology from any recognized university if he satisfied the board that he has had such practical experience for a period not less than 2 years in case of certificate restricted to mines having open cast working only and not less than 3 years in case of certificate not so restricted as he may specified in subregulation 2 of regulation 16 or in capacity of manager or in capacity accepted by board as equivalent or superior thereto in the planning, control and direction of mining operation in metalliferous mine of type approved by the board and if he pass such viva examination as the board may stipulate or who has attained age of 21 years and has received a diploma certificate or degree in mining engineering applied geology civil mechanical or electrical engineering or other equivalent qualification approved under sub clause 2 of clause A if he satisfied the board that he has had practical experience for a period not less than 1 year in case of certificate restricted mines having open cast only and not less than 2 years in case of certificate not so restricted as has been satisfied specified in sub-regulation 2 of the regulation 16 or in capacity of manager or in capacity accepted by board as equivalent or superior thereto in planning and control and direction of mining operation in METALLIFEROUS mines of type approved by the board, and if he passes Vaivasa exam as board may stipulate. Any service certificate granted under sub regulation on may be restricted to mines having open cast working only, and this fact shall be endorsed on certificate. Every application for grant of service certificate under this sub-regulation shall be accompanied by a certificate of age granted by a gazetted officer of central government or by headmaster of a school or higher secondary or equivalent standard by a qualified medical practitioner not below the rank of civil assistant surgeon, provided that in case of person holding matriculation or equivalent certificate, such certificate shall be submitted as evidence of age. A medical certificate obtained not more than 2 years prior the date of application from a qualified medical practitioner not below rank of civil assistant surgeon or from a certified surgeon certify the candidate to be free from deafness, defective vision, or any other infirmity, mental or physical, likely to interface with effective discharge of his duty, and a certificate from such person of good repute as to general good conduct and sobriety of the candidate. Fees on the scale laid down in Regulation 21 shall be paid in respect of every examination under this regulation. 24. Service certificate for surveyor. The board may grant until such date as may be notified by the central government for the purpose of official gazette a surveyors restricted to metal mines to any person who has attained the age of 30 years and who satisfied the board that he has worked as surveyor of middle class mines in India for a period not less than 6 years and had practical experience in surveying nature approved by board if he passes Vaibhavasa exam as the board may stipulate, or who have attaining age of 25 years has received certificate, diploma, or degree in mining, mining engineering, mine surveying, or civil engineering, or other equivalent qualification approved in this behalf by central government if he satisfied that the board that he has had practical experience in surveying of the nature approved by board for a period of not less than 2 years, including not less than 6 months in working below ground of metalliferous mines in India. And if any service certificate granted under sub-regulation may be restricted to mine having open cast working only, and such restriction shall be endorsed on certificate. Every application for grant of service certificate under this regulation shall be accompanied by a certificate of age granted by Gazette Officer of Government or by the headmaster of a school or higher secondary or equivalent standard by qualified practitioner not below the rank of civil assistant surgeon, provided that in case of persons holding matriculation or equivalent certificate, such certificate shall be submitted as evidence of age. A medical certificate obtained not more than 2 years prior to the date of its application from the qualified medical practitioner not below the rank of a civil assistant surgeon or from a certified surgeon certifying the candidates to be free from deafness, defective vision, or any other infirmity, mental or physical, likely or interferes with effective discharge of his duty. A certificate from some person of good repute as to general or good conduct and sobriety of the candidate. Fees of the scale down in Regulation 21 shall be paid in respect of every examination under this regulation. Duplicate certificate. If any person proves to the satisfaction of the board that he has had, without any fault in his part, lost or been deprived of a candidate granted to him under this regulation, the board may, upon realization of the following fees and subject to terms and conditions as it think fit, causes a copy of certificate to be delivered to him. In case of managers or surveyor certificate 5, in case of any other certificate 2, the word duplicate shall be stamped across every such copy. Certificate to be delivered to manager. When the holders of foreman, mayor's, engine driver, blaster, or gas station certificate is employed in a mine in capacity which required a processing of the said certificate, he shall deliver such certificate to the manager of the mine in which he is for the time being employed. The manager shall deliver to him a receipt of the same and shall retain the certificate in force at the mine so as hold thereof is so employed and shall return it to him on his ceasing to be employed. Court of inquiry into fitness of a person's hold manager's or surveyor certificate. If a person who is the holder of manager or surveyor certificate has been convicted of an offence made punishable under the Act, with fine which may extend up to rupees 500 or more, with imprisonment, or it is appear to the central government that he is unfit to continue to hold such certificate by reason of incompetence or misconduct in performance of his duty under the Act of this regulation. The central government may appoint court to hold an inquiry determined as to whether or not such person is fit to continue to hold certificate. The following provision shall have effective with respect to the constitution and procedure of the court holding an inquiry. The court shall consist a person or persons appointed by central government and may conduct the inquiry either alone or with the assistance of assessor or assessors so appointed. The central government may pay the persons constitute the court and two assessor appointed to assist the court such remuneration and allowance as it may fit. The inquiry shall be public and shall be held at such place as central government may appoint. The central government may appoint any persons to undertake the management of a case. The central government shall, before beginning of inquiry, furnish a person whose fitness to continue hold a certificate to be inquired into, a statement of case on which the inquiry is instituted. The said persons may appear at the inquiry of either in person or by casual solicitor or agent. A central government said before being inquiry furnish the person whose fitness to continue hold a certificate to be inquired into statement of the cause of which the inquiry is instituted. The said person may appear at the inquiry either a person or by counsel or solicitor or agent approved by the court may give evidence or call such witness as he may think fit. If a majority of persons constitute the court thinks fit, the persons whose conduct is under inquiry may require to deliver up his certificate at the time before or during the inquiry, and such person shall be bound to comply with such regulation unless he shows the satisfaction of the court sufficient cause to the contrary. The court shall, for the purpose of inquiry, have the powers of civil court under the Code of Civil Procedures 1908 for the purpose of enforcing the attendance of witness and complying the production of registers, plans, sections, report, and other record of materials, objects, and any persons required as aforesaid to attend or to finish any information shall be deemed to be legally bound to do so. The meaning of success section on 76 of the IPC 1860. The court, for the purpose of inquiry, may exercise such power of an inspector under the Act as it may think necessary or expedient. The court, subject to following, have the power to regulate the procedures of the inquiry and to adjourn it from time to time. A person appearing as a witness before court may be paid by central government such experience as would be allowed to a witness attending a civil or criminal court. As the conclusion of inquiry, the court shall send central government a report containing a full statement of cause together with which its opinion thereon, note of discount if any, submitted by assessors, and such account of extra forms, the evidence as it may think fit, and it is considered that the candidate is questioned should be called of suspension. It shall add recommendation to the effect where the court consists more than one person, not including assessor, there is a disagreement between the member of the court and different from the opinion of majority offered a space or report to the central government with statement of the recommendation. The central government may, on recommendation of the court, cancel or suspend a certificate, and if it does so, that the fact of such cancellation or suspension shall be notified in the official gazette, and if the certificate or duplicate thereof grant under section 26 is produced, be induced upon to suspension of certificate of foreman made engine driver blaster gas testing. If the regional inspector is of the opinion that the holder of certificate of foreman made engine driver blaster gas testing is accompanied is guilty of negligence or misconduct in the purpose of the duty, he may hold an inquiry to determine whether or not. During such inquiry, he shall record any evidence that delinquent may like to give, the evidence of any witness that he may delinquent may like to proceed, and evidence of the manager of the mine, and any other evidence that may considered necessary or relevant by the regional inspector. Unless the delinquent failure to present in spite of such notice, the evidence aforesaid shall be recorded in presence of a delinquent, and he shall given a reasonable opportunity to cross-examination the witness, other than those proceeded by him. The regional inspector also may cross-examine the delinquent and the witness proceed by him. If a result of inquiry of regional inspector is in the opinion that the declarant is not fit to hold the certificate, he shall, within 15 days from the date of his at the conclusion of his inquiries, submit a report to chairman of the board together with his finding, notes of evidence record during the inquiry and other relevant record. After considering such report evidence record, the chairman may, without any further reference to the board, suspend the certificate of delinquent for a period not exceeding 3 months. Where the chairman of the opinion that the suspension of the certificate for a period exceeding 3 months or its cancellation is called for, he shall recommend it to the board accordingly, together with the findings of regional inspector, the notes of evidence and other relevant records. A copy of such communication addressed to the board, together with the copies of notes of evidence and the findings of regional inspector, shall also be sent to delinquent, who may submit his written representation within 30 days from the date of receipt of such copies. The board may, after consideration, the board may consist the evidence of other records of written representation, if any, submitted by the delinquent, and either increase for the period of suspension or cancel the certificate as it deemed fit. Where a certificate is suspended or called under this regulation, the chairman of the board may call such certificate and make suitable endorsement thereon. Validity for foreman mates engine driver blaster and gas testing certificate. No foreman mates engine driver blaster shall remain valid for period more than 5 years unless the certificate bear an endorsement by regional inspector to the effect that the holder thereof has within preceding 5 years been examined and certified by qualified medical practitioner appointed by the chief inspector to be free from deafness, defective vision, and other infirmity, mental or physical, likely to interfere with effective discharge duty. An application in respect of examination of fitness in purpose of clause A shall be made to the chief inspector accompanied by a fee of 15 rupees. A medical examination undergo accordance with Rule 29B of the METALLIFEROUS Mines Rule 1955 shall also be deemed to be an examination for the purpose of sub-regulation 1. Application for endorsement on the certificate by regional inspector shall be accompanied by certificate of fitness granted in terms of Rule 29B of the Mines Rule 1955 and free of 5 rupees. Retirement age of manager and official. No person shall act as manager or an official or a blaster or winding man in a mine after attaining the age of 60 unless he has obtained within the preceding 1 year a medical certificate of fitness certifying him fit to carry out the duties prescribed for him in the Act and regulation in order thereafter. Provided that if the chief inspector or regional inspector of the opinion that the person as aforesaid through the less than 60 years age is mandatory is medically unfit to carry the duties prescribed for him in the Act and in regulations and orders made thereafter. The chief inspector shall inspector or regional inspector may by order writing exceed 3 months as he may specify therein and no such person shall continue to act any capacity of aforesaid after the period of specified unless he has obtained a medical certificate of fitness. The medical certificate of fitness as aforesaid shall be obtained from such authority and in such manner and effect the payment of such fees as the board may be prescribed. Last regulation in chapter का right of occurs representative to inspect the registered maintained under the mines regulation 1955. The registered maintained in form B under the mines rule 1955 shall be made available for inspection towards respective duly authorized by persons employed in the mine and an opportunity to make by him in his behalf. थैंक यू इस वीडियो देखने के लिए नेक्स्ट वीडियो इस सीरीज की आएगा